Oh, thanks for tuning in to Perfected Life Show. I'm Franklin, and I'm excited today to have my very special guest today. She's known here around NECAT Network here in Nashville Television. I have with us today Joan Warner. Welcome to the show, Joan.
Thank you for having me.
It's so glad to have you. Joan, I called Joan the Oprah Winfrey of television. I remember actually starting the class here at NECAT, and John Ferguson actually was the teacher of that class, and he would use you as an example in the class. You know, one of the shows, you know, a lot of people's shows you can really, you know, actually volunteer with, and Joan Warner is one. You know, I'm trying to imitate him. He's gonna kill me later. And I was so excited about wanting to just volunteer on your show, and I remember coming and joining your set, and I mean, people just running around. I mean, I said, you know what, this is a syndicated show already, you know. And how do you manage to do these 30 shows? How many seriously, how many shows do you have?
4.
4. Can you name those for us?
The first one was Health Hope,
Right.
Truth and Wellness, Eternity Now, and Loud Cry.
Loud Cry, Loud Cry. So Health Hope, I actually got a chance to work on that set with you.
Yeah,
you know,
you did. You did good too.
Well, thanks. And I would get to the show and I see all these people just going around. I mean, every camera is manned, the control room, and people just walking around and with tablets and
Busy.
pictures of pictures of the set, how this is going. I'm thinking, what she want me to do, you know? But I enjoy working on your show, though. I want to just go directly into it. And as you know, we're live. We're live, so anything goes, no cuts or nothing like that. So
and I'm just a little nervous.
Sneeze, throw up, anything, it's on the air. I had heard that some time back you were actually sick, and I was wondering, did you go through the process of taking any herbal pills or anything? Because I remember volunteering on one of your shows, and I was cameraman, and you had a guest on there who was talking about all these different herbals and believing in natural healings and all that. Did that work for you? And did you even try that?
No.
You know?
It did work for me, but not immediately. I had to figure out what my root cause was. I became extremely, extremely ill, and it lasted probably, I would say, a good 4 or 5 months before I even had a clue as to what was going on. And I was frightened. You know, I felt like I wasn't going to live. I knew I wasn't going to live if I didn't get help soon. And one day I was so ill because I was extremely fatigued and nothing was working. I mean, my system had just completely shut down, and I was pretty active. You know, I was running a business and had employees, and I just couldn't man it. I couldn't get out of the bed. I felt like my skin was on fire every time I was in my house. But when I'd go outside my house, I'd feel well. I'd feel a whole lot better, and I could breathe. I wasn't able to breathe unless I went outside. And finally, one day, I said to the Lord, if you don't want me to live, that's okay. That's okay. I'm ready to go home.
So you didn't really want to be here?
I didn't. But if you want me to stay and get well, I will tell everybody
Joan,
how you made me well.
You got 4 shows. It wasn't time for you to go nowhere. You didn't go. So how were you able to actually continue doing all these shows, being behind all these shows and going through the sickness? Did you completely stop your taping for a season? Or?
Well, this was like 13 years ago.
Oh, 13 years ago.
13 years ago. So it was quite a while ago, and I lost a lot of life. My allergy levels were very high. I went to 20 doctors and 3 hospitals. My bills were mounting, and I had great employees. They kept my business running. And then one day I just remembered that somebody else, one of my friends, knew of somebody who became ill, and nobody could make them well, and he went down to Florence Wellness Center in Florence, Alabama, to Dr. Ed Smith, and I went down there, and he tested me, and he told me that I had an environmental illness, and the reason I had one was because I was loaded with yeast, and I was loaded with parasites, and I was loaded with bacteria. He says most people get one or two, but when you have all three, as high levels as you do, he says you're dying. You're dying.
I was wondering, did you go through a period of like kind of getting depressed? And the reason I asked that is because I've been dealing with my back and having issues with that for the past 2.5 years, and sometimes it's easy to get discouraged and down a little. Not saying you're not dependent on God or but sometimes you have to remind yourself who God is and pick yourself out of that position of being depressed. Did you ever get depressed about
Sure I did. Yeah, sure I did.
Were there herbal pills for that?
Yes, actually there are.
We need to talk after the show. I'm serious about that. I'm going to get the name of those pills.
They helped me.
Really, really. So where is health? You see the direction of Health Hope going right now on the show?
Well, even though I'm pretty holistic, there's a place for conventional medicine. But I lean more to the more natural ways as much as possible. And we have a Dr. Yim on our show, and he pretty much feels the same way. There's a place for everything, and to do as much as possible to maintain a proper immune system, a well-balanced lifestyle.
Okay, so you use pretty much the advice from your own show, pretty much. Yeah. Joan, I'm just happy for having you here because I was like, wow, I get to have Joan on my show. And the reason why I want to have you because I didn't find it possible for a person to do that many shows. And you're just one person. And here at NECAD, you know how it works here at NECAD. There's so many producers and there's so much help. But at the same time, you want the help that's going to be dependable and good help, not people just here.
Right. How
do you just keep your posture with all this and keeping the shows going? Because I know you have, unless is this your life? Pretty much just doing the shows? Is this all you do, or is there a secular job, or something?
No, I have a business.
So how do you do 4 shows on this network?
Well, John Ferguson, he trained us well, and he said that you have a crew and everybody has a job. Your job is getting the crew there. And you pick up where they leave off. And everybody on the crew has a specific job. And so they do it. You make sure you don't do every job. That's why you have a crew.
But you're overstaffed.
That's because they're passionate about it. They love it. They love it.
I'm going to tell you something. And it came up. I actually taken the second, because John's great. John Ferguson teaches the production level 1, 2 classes, and some more classes. And I remember in the class, as your name came up, and different people that were taking the class for the second time, everyone says the same thing about you. And like, Joan is very persistent. I said, yes, she is. Yes, she is. So I guess it's your spirit of who you are. And I remember you would call me. Sometimes I didn't feel like it. I was tired or whatever. But I think how such a great person you are in the show is, and I would just come. I know once I get there, I'm fine. But I'm thinking like, she's got already 6 cameramen already. And there's 3 cameras in the studio. I enjoy working with your show.
But not everybody always shows up. People have lives and things get in the way, and people get tired because a lot of it is at night. Okay, and if you have to get up early in the morning, so we'll keep a base crew, but then there's 2 or 3 we typically have to replace every couple months.
Okay, let's talk about Health Hope. Who is your host for Health? Do you have more than one host?
We do. Gail McKenzie was our host for a long, long time, and Chuck Young sometimes hosts, and sometimes I host. And that's just recent because I was kind of overwhelmed.
Really? Really? Wow. I'm just listening, taking in, because it's a learning experience for me, even being on other people's shows. And and helping them. And you kind of want to stick with people that I guess have the more experience, been longer, especially have a large quantity of shows. So
well, everybody always wants to work with you. And you're always really great as a floor director.
Why is that?
Yeah,
Is it because I be losing my mind every 5 minutes? Or?
No, because you're real smooth, you know, and you know how to tell the guest or the host that they're messing up without them feeling bad.
John, I remember John during one of the show tapings. He was here and he said, "Well, you know, while you're out there directing traffic," I'm thinking, what is he talking about? Because it was like I try to do more than one thing, you know, at one time. Like I can be over there trying to give a cue or something to the technical director through the windows in the back. And then I'm trying to get a shot in the camera, and then I'm trying to cue the guests. It's like, I think I try to do too much. So you sit in the control room, because I watch, I do my research. You sit in the control room, and I think that's a safe point to be. So you trust whoever's out here, floor direct, you trust them.
Oh, yeah.
So they have your eyes. And
Well, we have Judy Dodds back there as the technical director, and she's got a good eye, and she knows what she's doing, and she tells the floor director what to tell the camera people to do. And
Judy
rocks.
Judy's a pistol to work for. And I told her, I said, Judy, don't play. I was in the control room. She's like, all right, I need my people. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm hungry. And I'm eating my food on the way. I'm coming, Judy. And I thought she was being rude at first. I was like, you know what? She takes this very seriously. And I love that. She takes it very seriously, this work and what she does. And it's not just your show.
Right.
It's anybody else's show that she's on the set for.
Well, see, a lot of the people on our crew had been extremely ill, and Judy had, I'm telling on you, Judy had rheumatoid arthritis. Yeah. She had rheumatoid arthritis, and her fingers were curved and knots in them, and they're gone now.
What did she use?
You'll have to talk. I forget the name of the stuff she uses.
But let me ask you, was it something natural?
Yeah, it's natural. She'll tell us here in a minute. She'll probably put it up on the teleprompter. I can't remember the name of it. It's really, really good.
What about for hunger? Is it something that you can take for?
Sure, yeah.
Because I remember when I first came in.
A lot of water.
And you have that on your show. I noticed in the green room, every one of these shows, you always got some good drinking water and that's hummus and all that stuff, crackers and this.
Yeah, we don't have pizza on our show, do we?
One day I came, I was so hungry, I was hoping you had some grease. I wanted some fried chicken or something. I said, oh, this is the health. I said, this is the healthy show. This is the healthy show. I'm like, I'm going to survive this show. Yeah, but as you can see.
Well, did we fill you up?
Helped. You did, but as you can see, I haven't followed the show to the point of actually. Yeah, but we're live, and it's a good feeling. And do you think you ever do your show live? It's kind of odd.
Well, I think we'll try it. We're up for trying. We want to do some of the Skyping too. Have you tried that yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't.
You could Skype Obama.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Call him up.
Call him up. Let's get him on the line. Let's think about being live. Let's get him on the air. Where's the floor direct? I don't know how many minutes we have. Is there anything that you want to discuss more? Because you did tell us a little about your health condition and what you were actually going through. From that point to now, has there been any flare-ups or any recurring?
Yeah. It takes a while to figure out what the root of the problem is. And so I had to continually research and, try this and try that. And I could maintain a certain decorum and feel okay, but then it's like clockwork. Every 3 or 4 months, I'm back down. This went on for years. And finally, one day, my water purifier, about a year ago, broke. My water purifier, okay? And I started feeling better. Like, instead of having to do these cleanses every 3 or 4 months, I could wait 6 months or a year, Wow. And the water purifier originally was reverse osmosis, but it was taking out all of my minerals, and I needed more minerals. And there's all this great press about it, that's the purest water there is. But it might be pure, but you don't get your minerals.
All the minerals.
And you hear all this stuff like, oh, you'll get it out of your food, you know. Well, I wasn't getting enough out of my food.
Right. You can lose it out of your food.
Yeah. So I really, I was quite surprised that it took that long to figure out. Oh, and I also had to get my silver fillings taken out of my mouth, you know, and I felt better after I did that. So everything I tried, I would feel better, but, you know, and all those things did affect my health. And I also had been, we kind of like jumped in the middle of this conversation, but initially I had been exposed to a pesticide treatment in my home. I had a letter came back on my house that I was going to buy saying that I had termites. And my realtor said, well, let me go through another company. And so he went through another company. He says, because I've been getting a lot of letters like that from him. The next company said, no, you don't have any termites. Well, within 45 days of me moving in it, I get a knock on the door, and it's the original inspector who denied the letter and said, you have got termites and they've done you wrong. Takes me underneath the house, see all these tunnels, and I've got termites galore. And I said, well, what do you think I should do? And I'm young, and he says, well, you should sue them. You tell them you're going to sue them unless they pay for a treatment. So the guy comes over, and he says, oh, you don't have any termites. I'll just do a light spray. Well, he was down there about an hour and a half. And then he comes back up. He says, okay, I did the spray. Everything's fine. And I felt horrible after he left. I mean, I just felt bad. You know, I just felt brain fog. I started getting sick. And within the week, the initial inspector comes by and he says, what did he do? I said, he said he did a light spray. He goes underneath my house. He did a full-blown treatment, drilled holes in the walls, did that major spraying, you know, that stuff you're not supposed to breathe. And I'm working out of my home, windows closed up because it's wintertime, just breathing it in, day out, day in, day out. And from then on, my health became worse. I started going from getting the flu once a year to 4 times a year. Then and then as I'm getting sicker through the years, you know, it took about, I would say about 3 years just to kind of like go completely downhill. I felt like every time I'd go out of the house, I felt better. So I had people calling me up all the time going, did you see that special in 60 Minutes about that black mold thing? We'd go looking through my house, underneath the house, up in the roof. Didn't see anything. By then, it's springtime. Well, come wintertime, I take another nosedive. I'm like getting sick, bad sick again. Don't have any energy, can't think real well. Sure enough, a friend of mine brought her boyfriend over. He goes underneath the house. He's an AC man. He says, you got mold underneath this house. And I said, well, why didn't I see it in the springtime? He says, it's coming from your humidifier. So the humidifier had been leaking. There was a line that was cut. So I had this mold growing on the rafter. In the springtime, it would all go away, you know, because it was heat and air, fresh air down there. And so I had that all cleaned up. And then I moved forward and got my silver fillings taken out. And so, you know, I have a high allergic response, so I couldn't get around a whole lot of perfume. And so in enclosed environments, their laundry detergent and their perfume and their hairspray and their nail polish and their deodorant, you know, I'd be good for about 30 minutes, an hour, and I just didn't feel good. I felt bad. I'd get brain fog, and I'd just leave, or I wouldn't go do whatever it is I needed to do because...
So how long did you find out that that was the issue from the fumes that were coming
Initially, it took about 3.5 years, almost 4.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, it did. And then from there, it took me about a decade to get to to get to the point where I found out about the water purifier. Now, was I down on my luck? I mean, I wasn't like I was in the very beginning. In the very beginning, it was just, so I would have these periods where I'd be up, you know, and be feeling good, and then I'd be down, and then I'd be up, feeling good. And then you have a lot of pressure, a lot of social pressure, like, why aren't you coming to these things? Why aren't you coming to church regularly? Why do you leave? Why do you come so late? You know, because I just knew that I felt bad. I just couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe very good.
So it affected you, I imagine, physically, too.
Oh, yeah, it did, it did. So I would have to be out in wide open spaces with big ceilings, wide open spaces, and then I could handle it for a while. For an hour and a half, maybe, or 2 hours. And this went on for years. I mean, like almost 10 years. 2 hours, you know. And then now I can stay out, you know, but I still have my moments. I got to stay on top of it, but that's okay, you know. So I've gotten my life back, you know, but I still have down times, okay, you know, and so I just monitor it, and I drink green drinks, you know, and I try to get to bed. There's like an acronym for things that I do. It's called a New Start, and N stands for nutrition, E is exercise, W is lots of water, S, get out in the sun, sunshine, lots of sunshine, T is temperance, be temperate in all things, A is air, fresh air, R is rest, and T is trust in God.
And it's new. It's a new start.
A new start.
New start. I'm sure they'll put that up.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's something you can actually remember, and I hope those that are watching that can take heed and listen to that, because these medications. I mean, not that I'm against medications that are prescribed to you by your doctor, but if you can get natural healing from herbals or green drink, and when you say green drink, is that something that you buy?
You can buy it.
Or can you make it?
You can make it.
Is that pretty much putting your vegetables and fruits and all that together?
You know, wheatgrass. You put wheatgrass in there, or you can make a smoothie of bananas, strawberries, and stick some kale in there, and you'll never taste the kale, and it'll be just as green as all get out.
Yeah, I'm not.
And that kale makes you feel like you're 16.
You know, and I'm hungry. I'm hungry even right now. But you know what? I don't want that. But you know.
But you know what? It tastes so good, you will want it.
Okay.
You will like it.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of foods that you can eat. If you don't want to be a vegetarian, that's okay. You can just eat a whole bunch of vegetables with your meat, and lots of fruit.
Or just less meat.
Yeah, or less.
I've got to do better. I've got to do better. And I think the next show you have, the Health Hope show, I like to come and attend that taping.
Yeah, we have cooking class on sometimes on like Truth and Wellness. We shoot out at Gail McKenzie's house.
Okay, I think I saw that on one of those shows. Yeah, where they were cooking on.
And it was good too.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it was real good.
But I'm not, again, as far as like the medication, I'm not against it, you know.
Right.
But listening to you, and I've heard others that use herbal pills and these natural cures, you know, for whatever disease, illness, or whatever they're dealing with. And a lot of people's mindset, I think, is that they feel like they won't work because it's nothing prescribed by a doctor, because they feel like if it's medicated, who is going to really do his thing. So what would you have to say to that person based on the experience of you having these experts, Dr. Yim, is it Dr. Yim coming to your shows, and other experts come on the show?
And Dr. Holly Martz.
Okay.
And well, there's a place for medications. There is a place, because sometimes you can't get to the root of your problem. You can't figure out what it is. Well, you got to do something.
Even while you're waiting on your doctor.
Yeah, you have to do something while you're trying to figure it out, okay? And you have to do your research, and that's the great thing about the internet now, right? Because you can research a lot of things. So I went on this site called Candida Wellness Center in Provo, Utah. Okay. And it's by Gary Carlson. And it's very strong herbal stuff. It's very strong. As a matter of fact, it's probably stronger than what you would get in a health food store, because they sell to naturopaths or to chiropractors or people who practice holistic healing. But there's a place for it. I broke my leg, and I was screaming for medication. I mean, I was glad that they had it, you know.
I'm laughing right now because I just feel like anything that, you know, really with your show and being part of Health Hope, and that if anything just happened, it can be something minor. You can be like, oh, the only thing you do is take this and you spit on it, you go this way, you rub it, it's gone. I think it seems like you have a remedy now for everything. And let me know if I'm getting too personal. How many herbal pills have you taken at like in a 24-hour period? Because I've heard
well, you
stories.
can. Well, I was aggressive with mine, and I was extremely aggressive because I was very desperate. I felt so bad.
But being desperate with the herbal is better than being desperate with something
well,
that's
you can screw up too. You can screw
really?
up. Yeah, you can. You can. You can screw up. So you got to be careful. You have to research. You have to research. And the thing that I concluded was this. if I look at 3 books, okay, and let's say they have 10 herbs for this and 10 herbs for that, 10 herbs in each book, I look at the top 3 that they all agree on. And that way I'm pretty safe there.
So it's
I'm
my
not
answer 30? So it's my answer 30?
Oh, how much did I take at one point? I took probably, let's see, 3, 6, 9. Yeah, probably about that in a day. But I was extremely aggressive.
Is there...
Is
like,
that
can you
the
get
norm?
In a liquid form? No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
you can
understand.
get them in liquid form. So part of it was liquid.
But it seems safer with the natural than if it was some medication, you know, you're trying to get some help with joint pain or something like that, whereas a person's taking 4, 5 to 10 pain medications or something like that.
Right.
You know, that's a high
Well, there's
dosage.
an osteopath, and they lean towards the holistic, and then there are doctors here in town, you know, like I said, that you can look into. Holly Martz, she was on the show, Dr. Holly Martz, and she recommended natural hormones instead of the synthetic hormones. And she had a boatload of research and why we believed in it, and said that it was really bad for your heart, bad for your bones, I believe. I know she said bad for your heart, and causes cancer a lot. She had a lot of research leaning towards that, and she has natural hormones. And Dr. Holly Martz is also an internist over here by Skyline.
Really?
Dr. Yim is, I think Dr. Yim is in the White House, isn't he? Maybe Goodlettsville, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I met Dr. Yim on one of your tapings that you did, and a real nice
And
guy.
Dr. Fernandez came out of Wildwood, and they have a lifestyle center in Chattanooga with a hospital right next to it. So you know, if you have to do the pharmaceutical route, there's a place for that.
And we're almost out of time, Joan, and I hope those that are watching, even myself, I'm going to check more into getting the herbals. Thank you so much for coming,
Thank
Joan.
you.
Taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today over your
It's
4
payback
shows.
time.
Yeah, payback time. There you go. Yeah, but it felt like an honor having you as a guest on the show, and it was work too. And thank you all for tuning in and watching us. Again, another episode of the Perfected Life Show. We're out of time. We're live. This is a live show. And Joan's email is listed as well.
Our website.
Website is listed if you want to get in contact with her with Health Hope. And again, I'm Franklin with the Perfected Life Show. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Joan. I mean, it was a pleasure. I was kind of nervous. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Really.
You did good.
Really a pleasure. Thank you.
You did
Thank
good.
you
I was
so much.
scared.
Were you?
Yeah. It's the second time I've been interviewed.